back in Minnesota, but I'm heading out here shortly. I'm going to leave that trailer with the four-wheeler in it. I didn't end up using the wheeler, and so I'm just going to, I got my coolers and some stuff in this little trailer here, and I'm loaded up and ready to go. I just been home for a couple of days. I had some things to do here, and you know, get some videos out and stuff like that. So I'm heading back out there. I'm actually just going to stay in a motel instead of camp, and I'm probably going to try to hunt 3-4 more days. We'll see how it goes. You know, now that I got bears hitting the baits, it could happen pretty fast. I might actually be able to hunt this afternoon even. It's 4.5 hours, so by the time I get out there and run the baits, maybe it'd be like 2-3 o'clock, and I might still be able to get in the stand this afternoon. So I do want to mention one thing that I have neglected to mention on these videos. It's an apology of sorts, I guess, and that is that when bear hunting season starts, I just start getting flooded with questions and comments, and they're on the YouTube channel, they're on Facebook, they're emails and texts and so forth, and people are asking me specific questions about their bear hunting, about, you know, things that they're struggling with, nocturnal bears. I got a sow with cubs that took over my bait. I can't figure this out or whatever, and I just feel terrible, but I just have to ignore them because there's so many of them, you know, just dozens, sometimes, you know, 8-10 a day. And I just don't have time to deal with them all. And the other issue is that almost all of the questions that are asked have been answered on YouTube videos. And so if you're struggling with something, there's a lot of videos on this channel about how to hunt bears and the basically troubleshooting, I guess you might say. And if you are one of the people who have contacted me and I just have not answered your questions, I'm sorry, but between running baits and checking cameras and guiding and producing videos and stuff like that, I just don't have time. There's just way too many of them, and so I want to apologize for that. But anyway, I am ready to hit the road. I just need a little green caffeine, and it's time to head to Michigan. Well, I'm back at the truck here after doing a third bait, and it's about 4 o'clock. I really was hoping to get in a stand tonight and hunt, but a couple things changed that. Number one, the bait that I think I'm going to end up hunting doesn't have a stand on it, and the only one that does probably isn't the best prospect. So, plus it's about 4 o'clock, and by the time I'm really sweaty, so by the time I got back to the motel, got changed, I mean, I wouldn't be able to be in the stand till about 6, which ain't the end of the world, but it's not optimal. And with only 3 baits, I pretty much have to make sure that when I do hunt, I'm not screwing something up. So I guess I'm not going to hunt tonight. The good part of all this is that all 3 baits were hit, and this one that I just finished, number 3 here, completely cleaned out. I mean, not one single sunflower seed was left. The logs were strewn everywhere, and there was 3 bears on this bait. And so unfortunately, I don't know how long ago it was cleaned out, and I pulled the camera off of it because I was thinking I was gonna pull everything out when I went home and then reset when I came back, and then changed my mind, as you saw in the last video. So this one does not have a camera on it, but it's got a big hog of a bear on it, and then a little one, and then a pretty decent one. So we'll find out tomorrow because I put a camera on it now. Troy's bait was hit, and that was nice to see for the first time finally that some bear had come back after, you know, over a week since Troy's wife shot the bear in there. The first bait that I checked has a second bear on it, but it's also a nocturnal bear. There's no daylight pictures of bears in there, and there's more raccoons. Old Booner Cooner brought his girlfriends, it looks like, so there's more of those. And then there's also something nobody ever wants to see on a bear bait, and that is somebody's hound. And it looks to me like it's a bear dog that maybe they ran a bear off my bait, and I guess I won't know until we start you know, checking cameras more regularly here. And that a cell camera should work in there, because I got 2 bars of service on my phone, but then when I put a cell camera in there, it can't connect to service. So I don't know what's going on there, but yeah, I just have a regular camera, which means I got to walk in there and check it. But anyway, that's today's update, and I'm going to go ahead and head back to the motel and unfortunately just not hunt tonight, but there's a pretty good chance that I'm going to be hanging a stand and hunting tomorrow. And yeah, things are definitely a lot more optimistic than they were a few days ago. So we got a total of a minimum of 6 bears on the baits right now, and so tomorrow we'll tell the story of when they're coming and what we've got, and then I'll make a decision on which ones to target. Well, this is the day. Got a super good feeling about the season. In fact, would you like the good news or the bad news first? I'll give you the good news first, and the good news is that there ain't no bad news. I've got 2 different options. They're both pretty good options, and I decided to hunt here at Troy's tonight. There's 3 bears on camera during the night last night. One of them was here 45 minutes before dark. The bait that I'm calling bait number 1, where I had the dog on it, well, I got to talking to Mike, the outfitter and owner of the motel that I'm staying at, and he said he's pretty certain that that dog was a dog that they were using to track a wounded bear that morning. So a local guy that owns property in there was hunting in there, shot a bear, and they went back the next morning, and they saw my bait when the dog went through that area looking for the bear. And apparently this guy's got a bait about 300 yards from my bait. You know, I had talked about how these bears go on this specific pattern when they first find a bait, and this bear that I was hunting deviated from that pattern, didn't show up when I thought it would. And now I know why. It's because there's another bait only 300 yards away, and that pretty much throws a monkey wrench in that whole pattern. So anyway, there's 2 bears on that bait. One of them was there during the night last night, that big sow again. So I don't have any daylight pictures of bears on that bait. So I ruled that one out. Bait number 2 is one that was completely licked clean. I mean, everything was gone when I got there yesterday. That's the one that had the camera that wasn't working on it. Well, it's got a camera that's working on it now. I checked it this morning. Had a pretty nice bear in there at 5 o'clock last night. And I was in there about 4, or got out of there about 4 anyway. Really thought about putting a stand in there. And I just thought, you know what, at 4 o'clock, I don't want to be clanking around in there. If there's any bears, they're in the swamp, they're very close. And so I just decided not to hunt there last night, or not to hang that stand. And I'm really glad I didn't, because I'm certain that that bear was very close, and she ended up coming in about 5 o'clock. So about a little over an hour after I left. Basically, it's nice to have options, you know, and I got 2 options, 2 good options, and I just decided to go ahead and hunt here at Troy's. It's really easy to set up. I went in here and set up after I baited this morning. I'll show you a short clip of that. Okay, the bears have torn up this ground blind pretty bad, but there's a good chair here, so I screwed it to that tree right there, and I'm about 20 yards from the bait. And I can just sit right here and shoot right over this. Got it propped up here, so they're used to seeing it laying here, and I'll be able to hopefully stay hunkered down and then rise up and shoot when I have a shot. So it's 300-yard walk back in there, and I'm concerned that it's going to be a little dicey with the wind. I guess I won't know until I get back in there, but I think we'll be all right. And I'm taking as much scent control precaution as I can to minimize my scent, and that'll help. And we'll just have to see which direction the bear comes from and what the wind is like when we get in there. But I love going to the stand in beautiful weather. It's a great afternoon to spend in the woods, and I'm going to be in there for a long time because it's only 2:30 right now, but it's going to be a long haul, but it should be comfortable and just a nice day to spend sitting in the woods. The blind's a little bit high. I need to get it down just a couple inches, or get this chair up a couple inches, one or the other. 22 yards to the barrel. I like it. I don't like the wind. It's just kind of sketchy. It's kind of going like this, back and forth. So the trail camera shows that the bear has been committing to the bait from that direction. Now that doesn't mean he comes in from that direction. He could do a half circle or whatever, which is pretty typical. If he comes from that direction, it's really dicey. If he just comes from that direction and comes right into the bait, I'll probably be all right, but it's just swirling back and forth a little bit. Not in love with it, but I'm gonna go with it. I'm gonna roll with it. Well, this wind is pretty steady out of the southeast now. So if a bear comes from the northwest, I'm gonna get busted. But just looking at the lay of the land, I'm thinking that they're going to come most likely from the east. That's what I'm hoping for. It's 6:15, so I've been here for 3 hours. Got a little over 2 more to go. Had some crows land on the bait. I always say that's the true test of if you're being still and quiet enough, if you get crows to land on the bait while you're there. About 15 minutes before the end of legal shooting light because it was so dark in there. Couldn't see anything on the screen of my video camera, and I could see my pins, but I just don't think I could have made an ethical shot. It's really heavy overhead cover in there. I walked out into the open areas and I was able to walk all the way back to the truck without a light, but it was really dark in there, and I don't know, it just didn't happen tonight. I don't know, really felt confident